Hi everyone, love and respect. It's Roxanne Grinage. It's April 13th. It's Tuesday, April 13th, 2010. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, and we're here waiting at the Thomas Daniels family, parents of Diasia Thomas Daniels, who had first encountered documented with DHS social workers already starting making false statements. We were blessed to be able to be contacted by a family to begin recording Higher Lyrics Administrative Service for the sake of U.S. citizens controlled public incident reporting, the first encounter of a family with DHS social workers. And we are privileged to be able to record and document some misconducts and discrepancies, records mismanagement, false statements, and some incompetencies from the very outset, which feed into and exacerbate an existing problem of the child selling scheme here in Philadelphia County, where children are being funneled in systematic fashion by the mechanized processes by and between City of Philadelphia, Department of Human Services, social workers, and the Commissioner, Anne-Marie Ambrose, to provide financial benefit for hundreds of listed of DHS contracted providers, their foster providers, evaluator providers, all types of service providers, adoption providers, whose product for sale, who get paid for the transport of human beings, which is human trafficking, and the sale of our children, our being Philadelphia County working class student and impoverished community. So we're here at 1:30 in the afternoon, and we've had the opportunity to document for Anne-Marie Ambrose and the two social workers that surfaced, that encountered this family, the Thomas Daniels family, who has retained Higher Lyrics Administrative Service to act as their litigation referral mechanism for doing everything that a paralegal or legal secretary would do to document the merits and contingent liabilities of what is anticipated a referral into litigation, in this case, a federal pro se lawsuit, civil rights lawsuit, fraud, and official corruption. And simultaneously, what we anticipate is going to be appeals in PA Superior Court of one of the corrupt family court judges, as that machine gives orders that will eventually support the recommendations of dishonest social worker employees. The social workers involved here are a young, inexperienced social worker, Lakeisha Kenyitha, and we're finding that in the modus operandi, the U.S. Citizens Public Docket Database gathers due diligence information, report to many entities. Let me just read to you what the U.S. Citizens Docket Database is, what Higher Lyrics does. U.S. Citizens Public Docket Database is a citizens-controlled docket in which Americans have access to post-verifiable incident reporting, held perpetually and infinitely sorted for the sake of truth in public record, and whose data is touted to funding decision-makers, legislatures, law schools, business schools, court reform groups, society preservation groups, grassroots community development groups, think tanks, United States Department of Justice, President's White House executive officers, military and defense decision makers, science and space travel industries, decision makers, universities, technology students, healthcare professionals, including and especially addiction and 12-step recovery groups, authors, radio and television show hosts engaged in discussion, debate, or analysis of issues which impact the U.S. Citizens Public Docket Database, recorded and publicly viewable, publicly growing, and publicly controlled child slaughter, U.S. economy fraud, court reform, state of emergency. Qualified litigation and accounting industry professionals are now able to see, measure, and accommodate a population of claimants who traditionally would never have thought to call a civil rights, intellectual property, personal injury, ethics, class action law firm, or audit accounting firm for a consultation, having been systematically taken advantage of and ripped off for unearned retainer fees at the child custody support evaluator domestic relations family courts levels of a U.S. economy fraud court of common pleas family court level. U.S. Citizens Public Docket Database prototype is demonstrated to accommodate the Pro Se CPS Corruption and Government American family victim whose verified accurate complaints and exhibit proofs are systematically censored by subjective colleague protecting dockets controlled by family, superior, supreme, and United States District Federal Courts in systematic abuse of 1983 Civil Rights Act and Judicial Conduct Canon 2B outside relationships. Higher Lyrics is a 9-year demonstrated invention and business method that provides standard access to those administrative services that, when rendered contingently, cause fair entry into competitive quality of life impacting industries to enable exposure and earnings opportunities for a previously unseen, unmeasured, unaccommodated worldwide population of disadvantaged creators. Higher Lyrics standard access mechanism has recorded the existence, characteristics, features, attributes, and challenges of a demographic of disadvantaged creator population. American families victimized by CPS corruption and government are creators of U.S. economy careers and product contributions who are missing from U.S. economy enriching industries and showing up in U.S. economy depleting industries. Because the CPS corruption and government American family is disadvantaged for fairly entering the litigation industry for protecting rights of ownership to life, liberty, and property. Higher Lyrics applies standard legal secretarial assistance services to a standard presenting population of claimants who are disadvantaged for making the litigation industry see the merits of the American family victim of CPS corruption in government, official corruption, fraud, civil rights claims. Higher Lyrics standard access mechanism to legal administrative assistance services for the standard presenting CPS corruption and government victim claimant has evolved pro se document production administrative tools developed especially for the American family victim of CPS corruption who needs litigation referral to qualified, ethical, no-nonsense legal industry professionals including civil rights, ethics, intellectual property, personal injury and wrongful death, class action, and audit professionals. We're going to film the first so-called home visit of DHS workers starting April 6th. We had workers make false statements. We had workers try to override. Their names are Lucretia McMillan and a young, untrained DHS worker who we're noticing in the modus operandi. They usually put a DHS, Anne-Marie Ambrose, and the executives and commissioners of DHS, the management, pushed out a scapegoat, unexperienced, unknowledgeable social worker to make decisions that they're, one, not authorized and not qualified to make, that actually end up endangering the health and safety of entire families and devastate the family's finances and allude to enforced commercial transactions and force services on the families who don't know that they don't have to accept these quote-unquote mystery services. Okay, so we're supposedly going to have a home investigation. We notified in writing DHS today, and it's published on a page about the Daniel Thomas family court reform case study at higherlyrics.org, where we're gathering the evidence for litigation referral, where we've already documented from April 6th unauthorized, inappropriate, and dangerous employee misconducts, a couple of felonies of 2 DHS social workers. And because we have also documented the modus operandi of social workers lying constantly, who are nothing more than case managers in court and so on, we're going to film the home visit. And if they have any problems with the so-called house, they've been told that they need to get some of that federal funding that they're siphoning to their DHS contractors to give this house home improvements. All right, this house, by the way, is owned by the Daniel Thomas family. They are homeowners. All right, so you've read some of the daily news articles. So many people are exposing the corruption, the revenue-driven child selling scheme here in Philadelphia, where children are traumatized, injured, prolonged abuse for the sake of someone else getting paid. They're taken out of homes where they're wanted and loved. Right after we documented